Okay, so natural selection, it's going to mold evolution, and we look at the organisms, and we might question how could an organism like this arise. It's weird looking organism. Why would it have this shape? I don't know if you guys ever gone on a hike and noticed these leaf galls. Have you guys ever noticed these? I saw these ones. Anybody knows what these are? No. So these are so they're insects that eat the plant material, and then there's something that's growing out of the leaf, and the ants or the insects, they start living inside that, and this is called leaf galls. So you might start looking at this stuff and say, oh, this is really weird. Why is this there? So same thing with this organism. If you throw this organism into a bush, would it be easy to find? That has maybe same color of leaves. Would it be easy to find? No, right? And this is called camouflage. So they're able to camouflage according to the environment. So maybe there was only like few in a population that had this color, same as the leaf. And there were others that were maybe red color. And they were easy to detect, so they were killed off by the predators before they passed on the genes. And these ones were able to hide well, and they were able to reproduce, therefore they look like this. So you can maybe try to answer questions like this. So this is called camouflaged. It helps them survive better, and it helps them survive long enough in order to reproduce. And then whatever is helping the individual reproduce better, that's going to become more common allele in the generations. The natural selection does not create camouflage alleles. It just selects for it. It just favors that allele that's going to help them survive. Therefore, they're able to pass on their genes. But natural selection doesn't create these alleles. Natural selection operates on a variation, and that's present in the alleles in the population. Since more individuals are born than the resources can support, there is a competition. There's struggle to survive. Everybody wants a better life, and there's maybe animals that want food. So there's a struggle to survive, and that's what gives rise to evolution. If you look at this picture, there's a lot of genetic variation going on, different skin colors, different hair colors, maybe even different eye colors. And when we're talking about genes, let's say one person or maybe a few individuals in this population, they have genes for being a fast runner, maybe stronger leg muscles or something like that. They have those genes, and there's a tiger that comes in and it's gonna run after them. And there are few that are fast runners that are able to get away. They're gonna be able to live long enough in order to reproduce and pass on those fast running genes maybe. Whereas the others, they're going to die off. So there's variation. In this picture, this is showing production of offspring. So these seeds, maybe they're different size, because if they're different size, maybe they're lighter. If they're lighter, maybe the wind is able to take them further away. Maybe there are more resources or more water available there for them to grow there. Whereas the others, they just drop nearby, where a lot of them drop, and there's more competition for it. So that's another example where depending on the size of the seed or the weight of the seed, it can either go further away, and depending on what climate is available further away, it can either support it or not support it. So some individuals gonna tend to do better if the tiger runs after them, whereas the others might not be able to reproduce. But the ones that do, they're the ones gonna be passing on the genes. So this is called adaptation. So the heritable traits have these advantages. Sometimes those are called adaptations. So adaptation is a feature that provides a selective advantage because they can improve someone's ability to survive and reproduce. So if you're able to adapt to the environment and you're able to survive long enough to reproduce, your genes going to be passed on. So you're going to be able to adapt to the environment if it changes drastically. Anyone completed the virtual lab for this? Anyone completed the virtual lab for bacteria? No? Camelia, also I got your email. I responded to it, but I reset it and it's working now. So this picture is talking about Staphylococcus aureus. Anybody heard about Staphylococcus epidermis? Anybody heard about Staphylococcus epidermis? No? Anybody knows? I'm just curious what epidermis is, what it stands for.
It's a staph infection on the skin.
It says it stands for skin. So epi means top and dermis is your skin. If you take anatomy, they're gonna have you learn that. So that's your skin. That's what you have on your. Go ahead.
Staph infection is usually antibiotic resistant bacteria that develops in the skin, whether it's a cut or a bruise, and it just can develop, and it's antibiotic resistant.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about when we talk about this example. So Staphylococcus epidermis, that's what something that's on your skin right now, and that's not harmful to your skin. If you get a cut and epidermis gets in, it's it's not really going to do anything. It's been living there for I don't know, hundreds of years, and because you have that bacteria on your skin, it's in a symbiotic relationship with your skin and kind of increases the competition for other harmful bacteria that can live on your skin. But if you get this other bacteria in your skin, it's going to give you an infection. So Staphylococcus aureus. Staph stands for grape-like, and then coccus is talking about the shape, round shape. And this example is showing you Staphylococcus aureus bacteria. Anybody knows how fast bacteria can multiply, reproduce?
300
what?
times.
No, so I'm asking how fast they can reproduce. So they can reproduce every
some kind of number per 20 minutes.
20 minutes. E. can do it 20 minutes. Some others can do it 30 minutes, maybe to an hour. So they can reproduce within an hour. So if you get some of this bacteria in your skin and you don't take care of it, it's just gonna multiply in few hours. Anyway, so you have this bacteria, and there is one bacteria there in this in this example that has a mutation. You give them antibiotics, and it's gonna kill these green ones, but it's not gonna kill the red one because there was a mutation that made it resistant to the antibiotics. Now you have to go back and maybe you have to make another antibiotics that is going to be able to kill this red bacteria there. So I can't remember. I think it was Kristen, maybe. Someone said that it's a bacteria that's a resistant. Bacteria that's a resistant is the one that can't be killed, and mostly it's found. I don't know if you guys heard about MRSA in hospitals, and the reason is because they're constantly wiping down those surfaces, and there are antibiotics that are being applied to the people there. So sometimes there is resistant strain that remains. So that's where they find most of them. This is if there is no antibiotic resistance, it's going to be killed off. So some of the STDs like gonorrhea, chlamydia, they can be taken care of using antibiotics, but if they become resistant, then pharmaceutical companies, they have to come up with the new antibiotics. So it's not very cost effective for them. It takes a lot of time to come up with the antibiotics. So when you go to a doctor and you tell them maybe you have bacterial infection, they give you antibiotic course. Well, they probably tell you to finish it, finish the antibiotic course, don't stop halfway. Sometimes people stop when they start to feel better. Why is that? Why do you have to, complete the antibiotic course that's given by the doctor? To make sure that all the bacteria is dead, because if maybe there is a bacteria that has mutated, it's going to start multiplying, and even if it's just this green type and you already know it can multiply within a few minutes, you're just going to feel worse maybe next day. So you always finish this. Another thing that you shouldn't do if you have a viral infection, maybe you have flu, you shouldn't take any antibiotics. That's also not going to help, because viruses, they are not considered living, and the word antibiotic, bio means living, against living bacteria, and the viruses are not considered living, therefore it's not going to work. So this is another reason I was talking about the pharmaceutical companies. So therefore they have to do more research on the antibiotics. They have to come up with antibiotics that would work on those resistant bacteria. So for humans, it's not going to be other human species that's going to be causing the humans to go extinct. It's probably going to be a microorganism. I know it's a bit on the downside, but that's true. That's why I always say that you should support the research projects, especially on the microorganisms. I think sometimes you get to vote too. I think you do get to vote for that. So you know what type of project to fund, especially in college here. And sometimes they ask you guys, oh, we should we fund this project? So you get to vote in that. So I always encourage my students to vote in youth programs where they do these research on these microorganisms or antibiotics, because that's what's going to be needed in the future. So this antibiotic resistant bacteria is basically, it's coming up with a new strain. It's able to it's able to fight off these antibiotics, and then now it's able to reproduce. But anyways, it was the allele that was passed on that was resistant to the antibiotics. So let's look at one more example, and then we'll stop for today. So as environmental conditions change, so here in this picture, we have a light tree, and we have this is peppered moth example. It's very commonly used. Light moth, and we have a dark moth here. Now look at this tree and tell me which one's gonna be eaten more easily. Which one is easily visible on this tree?
The light.
So this is easily visible?
On the light
No, the dark.
tree.
The dark, right? You can easily
dark
see
moth
this.
would be eaten.
And the birds that are gonna come around to maybe eat these, they're gonna eat this easily. So this environment is perfect for this light moth. They're not gonna be able to be detected, and their allele is gonna be passed on, their genes gonna be passed on. They're gonna go, higher in number compared to these. These probably go extinct over time. But then Industrial Revolution happened. And during that, people were burning a lot of wood, a lot of coal, and the smoke, it caused the trees to, kind of turn dark, the soot. And in this case, now, which one is better adapted? Which one is easily detectable now?
The light moth is easy detectable on the dark tree.
On the dark tree, right? So as the environmental conditions change, the phenotypes that natural selection favors will also change. So adaptation that seem perfect. So these seem perfect here, the light ones with the light trees, they in this environment, but as the environment changed, it would completely, be wrong in the other ones. Now they're easily detectable. Their population is going to go down, and these populations going to go up. So as the environment changes, you have to adapt. If these were able to change their color to dark, that means they adapted. Maybe there was a mutation or something. But if you're not able to adapt, you go extinct. So natural selection is going to eliminate poorly adapted phenotypes. So I'm going to stop here for today, and we will pick up here